Is the Chase Sapphire Reserve a better hotel card? What's up guys, Luke here from Luke's Points and Miles, and if you follow the channel, you know that I've been experimenting with the Chase Sapphire Reserve for the last few months, and I can totally understand why this card is so polarizing. Many folks think the card is just not worth it for the premium annual fee when you compare it to its competitors like American Express Platinum and the Capital One Venture X. And if I'm totally honest, the CSR oftentimes baffles me. Now, this video is not going to be a review of the Chase Sapphire Reserve. I and many other creators have tons of those videos already, but as I assess this card, I want to make videos documenting my thought process, mostly for me to go over myself when that annual fee hits next year. So today I'm going to be talking about some positives of the Chase Sapphire Reserve that some of you may not have considered. When possible, I'm going to be using hard data and real numbers that apply to how I travel. And today I want to talk about two things that really are unrelated that might give you some use cases with the CSR. Now, if you are new here, I talk about credit cards, points, miles, cashback, and travel. If that's something you're interested in, consider becoming a subscriber. We have a great community here full of positivity, and I post consistent, relative content. If you get any value or any new ideas from this particular video, slap that like button for me so I can get this video out to some more folks interested in the credit card game. Okay guys, first thing I want to mention. Most of you have probably already heard all about this, but I am a little impressed considering Chase got into the lounge game after Capital One. Chase has Sapphire lounges at JFK, LaGuardia, Boston, Hong Kong, and they partner with Etihad for a lounge in Washington, Dulles. But Chase just opened another lounge in Phoenix, and they have lounges opening soon in Philadelphia, Las Vegas, and San Diego. So what I mean to point out here is, guys, Chase seems to be very serious about the airport lounge game. Now, sure, they have a long ways to catch up to American Express with the Centurion lounges, but it looks to me that Chase has committed to this, and in my opinion, they're going to be some fierce competition very soon. To make things even more interesting, Chase cardholders now have access to Air Canada's Maple Leaf lounges as well. What this tells me is Chase is not only creating lounges, but they're also using existing lounges to boost access to their card members. Like I said, I think this is serious and I think this is significant. But I have another thought of what actually could be the CSR's strength, and some of this might even surprise some of you. We've often parroted the belief that travel portals are not good. They're overpriced, you'll get to the hotel and they won't have your reservation, and you'll never be able to get a hold of a customer service rep. Let's keep it real, guys. Booking directly with the property is always the easiest and most convenient, but let's not pretend like these portals don't have great benefits. Let's talk about using the Chase Sapphire Reserve card to book hotels. So the first thing that comes to mind is you can transfer points to Hyatt. And that will always be a good redemption, but that's not what we're going to be talking about today. There may be a better way to book a room than with Hyatt points. Most folks agree that Hyatt does bring great value, but one thing most folks don't talk about is the fact that Hyatt devalues every single year. They're Category 4 properties that eventually become a Category 6 or 7 in a matter of just a few short years. That's pretty hurtful. Another number you'll hear quite often is, I can get over 2 cents per point with Hyatt. And that might be true, or at least it used to be true. But in 2025, that's going to be much less often. I've redeemed several Hyatt redemptions for less than 2 cents per point. And TPG currently values Hyatt points at like 1.7 cents per point. So stop the cap, as the kids say, and let's get real. Good way to book? Yes, absolutely. But there are other ways. I don't know about you, but there have been tons of times I wanted to check for a Hyatt hotel and there either wasn't one around or it wasn't in the exact location I wanted to stay. So why not consider the portal with the Chase Sapphire Reserve's 50% boost? Well, let's look into this as an option and see if the CSR isn't the best hotel card in the game. I don't know about most of you, but I'm personally not someone that can stay at a chain enough times a year to get great status. The only way for me to get great status is to purchase a high-end credit card. Once I purchase, say, the Hilton Aspire card for $550 a year, now I have to get to work trying to make my value back. I'm also someone that historically has not gotten a ton of upgrades with my hotel status. Diamond status with Hilton in particular, so I'm a little tired of that not being a two-way commitment. So So how do I get good value and good perks without having status through a card or tons of stays? Well, I think the CSR might have this covered. It is sometimes difficult to compare the value of a hotel point to a Chase Ultimate Reward point, but let's look at an example of a trip I have booked that for whatever reason, I don't think I did a very good job booking. I booked a riad in Marrakesh, Morocco through Hyatt. Now, this was a little different. It's a Mr. and Mrs. Smith booking, but the total cost would have been $1,544. But I chose to transfer UR points to Hyatt and booked this for 110 Hyatt points. And when I checked, that gave me a value for my UR points or my Hyatt points of just 1.4 cents per point. Not terrible, but I realized that even though I couldn't book this exact room in the Chase Travel Portal, I still had over 1,100 choices I could book, and some of them seemed to be almost exactly the same. Using the portal would have gotten me just a touch more value at 1.5 cents per point, but I would have had dozens and dozens of choices, and I probably would have been able to find some type of deal. I would have also been able to book a property in exactly the location I wanted. Now, in this case, I've never been to Marrakesh, so I didn't have an exact location, but all I'm saying is this was an option and likely a superior option. But it seems like we're programmed to not even think about that. Now, what about higher end stuff with great benefits? Well, everyone knows the Amex Fine Hotels and Resorts program has this. Some folks really love it because it has to do with the $200 yearly credit for the Platinum card. Most folks might not understand that Amex is really just giving them their own $200 back, but it's still a great program. Does Chase have a program like that? Well, Chase has the Edit, which is very similar to Fine Hotels and Resorts. Free daily breakfast for two, $100 property credit, welcome amenity, early check-in, early check-out, Wi-Fi. Does that all sound familiar? Now, I do want to mention that the late checkout is not guaranteed like Amex Fine Hotels and Resorts, but I feel like it's more likely than not. Now, I don't think Chase has quite as many properties in this program as American Express, but I'm also willing to bet that Chase will eventually catch up. Also with Amex, using points is not a great way to purchase these properties, but with Chase, you can reserve these with points with that 50% bonus at 1.5 cents per point. So I think this is a superior program with that extra optionality. Now here is another way to book hotels with the Chase Sapphire Reserve, and I won't spend too much time on it, but redeeming Chase Ultimate Rewards points gives you the option of cashing them out for 1 penny. If you pay attention, there are several times a year where you can purchase Hilton Honors and IHG points for half a penny each. And you can most likely redeem them for much more. You can look at that as potentially doubling your money and getting an easy 2 cents per point for your Ultimate Rewards points, but without the restrictions. So now the value of Hilton and IHG might be able to rival the value of Hyatt. Guys, this video is really just a way for me to get these analytical thoughts out of my head so I can go to sleep at night, and also a way for me to constantly evaluate keeping the Chase Sapphire Reserve because it's just not as clear cut as some of the other premium cards. Tell me what you think in the comments, both positive and negative thoughts about the CSR. And guys, if you have stayed around all the way to the end, I appreciate you and I want to thank every single one of you.